Hello, I'm going to talk to you today about cryptids. Are they lab created? There's no, it's not a question whether I believe there are cryptids, not, but there are some very credible people who say they have seen these creatures. They've seen them, the troopers and police officers and so on. So I have no reason to believe that they're not telling the truth, okay? But let's just say, let's look at the Bigfoot. I think the Bigfoot is well over 600 years old because there was an explorer that came to the Americas before Columbus. And most European explorers, they went to Africa first, and African gave them gifts, fruit, food, and gifts of animals. So I think they gave them, two or three female gorillas. It could have been an orangutan too. Female gorillas, and to give the sailors something to do, not the male gorilla, but the female gorilla, give the sailors something to do. The sailors haven't been with a woman like 3 to 5 years, so they had sex with the female gorillas, and the female gorillas gave birth to upright creatures, because once the creatures are upright, they have human DNA. And so I think, they started a population of Bigfoot. And it's not, the Bigfoots don't all look alike. That's why, which means the humans. See, all the giraffes look alike. All the lions look alike. Most of them. All the, let's say the honey badgers, all of them look alike. They produce after their own kind. But the Bigfoot doesn't all look alike. They look human. Why? Because all humans don't look alike. Okay? But the Bigfoot they don't all look alike. So, but they do have human DNA. So I think that's where the Bigfoot comes from. This dog man, I think it comes from about 1960. I think a veterinarian was doing some research on the wolf, and he impregnated maybe 2 or 3 wolves, she-wolves, and they became upright. Her offspring became upright. Now, she-wolf will suckle anything, suckle a human baby. A she-wolf will. Suckle a human baby. So I think that's where this dog man came from. But see, the fact that there are some dog men in Argentina, that's what I'm hearing, tells me that maybe they're lab created and they're taking them to other parts of the world. Some of these cryptids, I think, are just face. You know how people change they demon possessed and they just change who they are. They change themselves into werewolves. They change themselves into Bigfoots or whatever. That's what I think that some of them are, particularly like they said there was this one in India. There's a Bigfoot creature in India. But see, how can the Bigfoot creature live in India? Because it's too nasty and it's too crowded. So a Bigfoot creature can't even live in India. It's too nasty and too crowded. It's just nasty, full of flies and everything. So that's why I think it was just somebody who changed their form. Then there's, mermaids. They exist. Half fish, half human. The fallen angels did that, mixing human DNA with probably a carp fish or a salmon. I don't know. I guess a carp, I don't know. But they're saying that they exist. And then there's the lizard man. There's an upright creature who breathes air and water, which makes him, that's a lizard. The lizards can do that, lizard or a frog. But see, they don't say this thing can hop like a frog. It's just a lizard. So I think it was human DNA crossed with a lizard. Now, my guess is that comes from a lab. This lizard man comes from a lab. They get human DNA to fertilize the eggs of a lizard, and they develop. And so now you got an upright creature with this lizard, half human. And he can be in the air or he can be in the water. Okay, so I think the lizard man is lab created. I think the dog man, some of it is lab created. And I think, these cryptids are upsetting the balance of nature. They really are. And they need to be eliminated. They really did. Because Joshua had to eliminate the Nephilim, people who were half human and half angelic. He eliminated quite a bit, according to the scriptures. So I don't know what happened to the rest of them, but my impression that he did, okay. But, I've heard that there are creatures that are half worm, half human. That's weird. Half crab, half human. That's what I'm hearing. as you know, just from going to these different strange and bizarre websites. Okay. Um, so you got to understand that fallen angels that mix this human DNA with animals and sea creatures. You got to understand that angels have an intellect that's probably a million more times sharper than a human intellect. You know, they're super brilliant, so they probably have the scientific knowledge to do that. Okay, but I do think that some of these are lab created. I think the dog man, because what's the dog man doing in Argentina? Because it used to be just in North America. How did the dog man get into Argentina and skip Central America entirely? Because Central America has a little bit of everything. Central America has a little bit of everything there. Okay, so how does the dog man get from North America to Argentina and skip Central America entirely? That doesn't make any sense. So I think that there's somebody out there that's mixing human DNA with animal, with a wolf, and putting them in different countries and upsetting the balance of nature. But I do think that Bigfoot is like 600 years old. I think the wolf man is probably since the 1960s. But I think some of these present day wolf men that's going to other countries, I think these are lab created. Okay, but anytime you mix a human being with an animal, you're going to get a monster. Period. You're going to get a monster. Now, when they die, they are spiritual beings because a human being is spiritual. I guess they all go to hell. They can't descend, can't ascend. They cannot go to heaven. God doesn't want them. And they're controlled by Satan. Okay, and they can't descend because they can't sin. Because, an animal can't sin. Okay, because an animal kills to eat. Okay, so they can't descend. So I guess they just stay on the earth. That's what I'm hearing. They just stay on the earth. Okay, I don't know, but I think they can be killed if you shoot them. I mean, people saying they can't be killed. No, I don't believe so. If they're in the natural, they can be killed. Okay, you kill them. Okay, but that's what I think. That some of them are cryptids. I mean, some of them are lab created. These cryptids, some are lab created, like the lizard, and like I said, there's the fish, half human, half carp, all the other mess. But they are upsetting the balance of nature. Have a nice day.